Welcome everybody to the second round of the Precision Sim Engineering DTM-ISH lockdown series. We've been to Zolder and now we're in the sunshine at Brands Hatch with the Grand Prix circuit in use, qualifying underway for two 20-minute races. David Addison and Jamie Green, trackside, 2 meters apart, naturally, and with another all-star cast set to do battle. Some regulars from the DTM, either currently or of seasons past, and we've got one or two from sim racing, and we've got some other interesting names like Raffaele Marciello, for example, from GT Racing, taking on Goofy, Goffredo Pirro, Emanuele's son, who's a regular race engineer for the Tita Racing. So it's an interesting mix. Qualifying has got about 6.5 minutes still to run through to determine who is going to be at the front of the grid. Jamie, the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit is a proper old school challenge, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a great circuit and lots of high-speed corners, which always challenges the drivers.
And in certain places as well, not a vast amount of runoff, so you can't afford to make mistakes. At the moment, on the screen is Goofy, as he likes to be called, Goffredo Pirro, heading down towards the right-hander of Hawthorne in the Go Pirro liveried car. Everyone in the same Cadillac CTS V race car for the purposes of the DTM-ISH lockdown series. And at the moment, it's Lucas Auer who is the fastest, but coming now down through Westfield into Sheen Curve. Pirro looking good. He's got the road to himself at the moment. And does that matter in sim racing? It's, I suppose, more your knowledge of the sim than real-world racing that counts, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you still need to get into your rhythm, and you need a clear lap, obviously, in qualifying to put your best time together. So you still need to find the gap and put a good lap together. So I think it is similar to real racing in that regard, that you need the space in qualifying, and there's a little bit of strategy involved in finding that.
So at the moment, it is Emil Heyerdahl who is the fastest. You're riding on board with Xavier Schwartzman, who's a regular sim racer, proper gun. So here's somebody with bags of experience of the sim world as he comes now out of Surtees, rides the curbs behind the so-called Grand Prix pits, which is where, of course, Formula One teams were based up to the 1986 British Grand Prix, the last time Formula One raced at Brands Hatch. Onto the Grand Prix loop now goes Schwartzman. It is Emil Heyerdahl, Carrera Cup star from Scandinavia, who is the fastest from Lucasar, and then fabulous Frank Bieler, Christoph Herbigno fourth. Now, he was one of the standouts at Zolder. We'll get through qualifying, 4 minutes to go, but just reflecting, Jamie, on what we saw at Zolder, do you think they've had a good talking to, or do we expect more of the same here?
I hope it's more of the same, to be honest. It was it was good to watch. It was some great fights, and yeah, it was great racing, so hope we get more of the same tonight.
There's every chance, I suspect, looking at the entry. We've got the man behind this series, Nicola Palacci, who is a Rosberg team engineer venturing out on track, as well yet to record a time, but he's going to be one to watch. It's a lot of his endeavours that go into making this happen. Over the line then goes Schwartzman, and where does that lap put him? Well, into the top 10. Raffaele Marciello is somebody, if you follow GT racing these days, you'll know exactly how good he is, but he was, of course, a hero in single-seaters, certainly Formula 3 Euro Series title winner, going back a good few years, but he's very much your go-to Mercedes GT3 star these days. And Marciello goes through over the timing line and goes fifth fastest on that lap. Palacci here, coming down towards Graham Hill Bend. So it's Nicola, Jamie, is it not, who is part of the engineering force when you go racing in the DTM?
Yeah, that's right. He's the current technical director for Team Rosberg in DTM, so I'm very much intrigued to see how he performs behind the wheel. No
secret advice being offered, no driver coaching for him? He's left to his own devices, I think.
I had no idea he was taking part until you just said 2 minutes ago, so yeah, I'm still in shock.
Has he done any racing?
I don't think so. No. He's been an engineer for a long time, and he's pretty good at that. So this is not his day job.
Fair enough. Right. Well, Frank Bieler has put himself to the top of the times. We did, in fairness to Nicola Palacci, see him running off the road. 21 cars we have got, and he's the 21st of them. Right, that lap done by Heyerdahl put him back to the top of the times, 1:23.556. So he goes quickest by 0.021 of a second. Eduardo Mortara is way wide, way off the road, going out of Graham Hill Bend. Man to watch in all of this, because we know that he is a pretty feisty character, and he was one of the front runners, albeit unlucky, in the Zolder races, wasn't he, Jamie?
Yeah, he was very quick at times, but he didn't get a great result in the end from memory, but he was certainly entertaining and did show pace on occasion.
Indeed, I think he was regularly wrong place, wrong time, wasn't he? He seemed to keep finding himself in other people's accidents, but if he keep out of trouble tonight, he's got a good chance. Daniel Junqueira was the man that won both races at Zolder and is 18th at the moment, so there's a lot more to come from him, but he's running out of time in this session because we've got a minute change on the clock. That's all, as down comes Mortara then into Clark Curve, accelerates his way up towards the timing line. He's going to go top, I think, on this lap. Yes, he is. Eduardo Mortara goes fastest, 1:23.426. Daniel Nestorovic is the next driver that we turn our attention to. Nestorovic is another sim star, 9th fastest at the moment. Turning his way up towards Stirling's. He's out on the back part of the circuit, Jamie, the Grand Prix section, where there is very little room for error.
Yeah, it's a great section. Lots of quick sort of 90-degree right-handers, and each one is a little bit different, but they all require bravery and accuracy and commitment. So yeah, it's a challenging layout, Brands, especially the GP circuit.
Because when the DTM first went to Brands, it was on the Indy circuit, wasn't it? It was probably a bit like being in a tumble dryer for 92 laps. It was such a short
99
lap. Was it as many as that? Crikey.
Yeah.
It just must have been relentless in the car. At least the Grand Prix circuit gives you a chance to catch your breath in a straight line.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing with the tyres, that you were pretty much turning right the whole time, so the left front tyre used to get absolutely nailed, and Yeah, it wasn't the best layout in my opinion for DTM, and it's just been cool to go there and race on the Grand Prix track for the last 2 years. I hope we get the chance to do that this year, but that remains to be seen.
Does a little bit, doesn't it? Fingers crossed. Well, the grid you can see scrolling through, and the drivers now getting themselves ready for the first of our two 20-minute races. They're Marciello 5th on the grid, Mattia Drudi lining up 6th, Daniel Nestorovic for 9th ahead of Goofy Pirro, Xavier Schwartzman, Marcel Freienzener next, but it is Eduardo Mortara starting on pole position. Mike Rockenfeller only 13, Rob Bollinger, Robin Frins, Gary Paffett. Gosh, some star names there way back, rows 7 and 8. Martin Elsner, who's another Rosberg engineer, ahead of Daniel Junqueira, and then Otto Rensing, 19th. Otto Rensing was a Formula 4 and Formula 3 star going back to the late 1980s. So the first of the 2 races on the Grand Prix circuit. Whether everybody that we've just seen in qualifying ventures out, I don't know. Emil Heyerdahl and 1 or 2 others don't look as though they're on the grid, but let's see who we do get. So there are 1 or 2 gaps there you can see. So 1 or 2 more are appearing. And as soon as everybody is there and the server is reset, then we will be good to go. Eduardo Mortara for pole position, you could argue, is the right thing, because that's sort of real-world DTM driver on pole position. I think we are ready. There are, just about everybody reappearing on the grid as we get set to go racing then for the second weekend within the Precision Sim Engineering DTM-ISH Lockdown Series. The lights will go green now. The flag drops. We are away and racing, and it's a good start by Mortara on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend, but there's mayhem already. Cars go across the road, and that's going to sort them all out as they get through Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Christophe Herbigno is all sideways. Claude, that was Robin Rogalski getting involved in all of that as well and being badly delayed. Rogalski was another real gun at Zolder, but when the race got underway, Lucas Auer was one of the first casualties, I think, being turned across the front of others, and it is then now heading onto the Grand Prix loop. Eduardo Mortara that leads. More drama at Graham Hill Bend as people have to recover off the grass. So, Jamie, just what we saw at Zolder is carrying on here, isn't it?
Yeah, massive shunt after turn 1. I saw a huge rollover just under the bridge. So yeah, it's all kicking off.
Was ever thus in the DTM-ISH Lockdown Series. Right, so basically if you survive, you might well win. Daniel Junqueira is already making good progress then. From way back on the grid, he's got himself in 9th position already. Marcel Freienzener is the man just ahead of him. Junqueira lines up to have a go on the inside at Sterling's, can't do it. Up the curb, coming out of the corner, goes Freienzener, and they'll now turn their way down towards Clearways into Clark Curve up towards the end of lap 1. So it is Eduardo Mortara in the lead, Emil Heyerdahl in second place, and the gap between them is 8/10 of a second. Mattia Drudi goes through 3rd, Daniel Nestorovic 4th, 5th is Xavier Schwartzman, then it's Freienzener ahead of Junqueira 10th, and there Goofy Pirro goes through up on the inside line, goes ahead of Rockenfeller, going through Paddock Hill Bend. Out of Druids comes Pirro, but right now Mortara looking strong up front, and there is Freienzener being given a workover by Gary Paffett with the MB partners, Mark Blundell's firm livery on the front of the car. Number 3 you see is Mike Rockenfeller now trying to get himself back into the mix. So it is Mortara in the lead and trying to get away, but lower down the order, Lucas Auer, Raffaele Marciello, some big names, Jamie, with a lot of work to do in this race.
Yeah, it's such a quality field, isn't it? And you've got some of the usual suspects at the top, but there's always a surprise, isn't there? There's always a few guys that can't get to grips with the simulator, and yeah, it's not like real racing, that's for sure. So it does mix things up.
It does indeed. We've just seen, one, now 2 drivers getting it wrong. One of them is Junqueira. The first casualty was Marcel Freienzener, but there, reversing into the barrier as well, is double Zolder winner, Daniel Junqueira. So this is the replay. What does he do wrong? This is coming out of Westfield.
Out of the hairpin,
then
isn't
up
it?
from
Oh, no.
Dingledell.
No, you're right, yeah, it's a quick corner.
Yeah, into Sterling's. Is it here that he gets it wrong? Let's see.
Oh, another spin.
Yeah, that's Junqueira.
Yeah.
Around he goes. Oh, he hits the barrier on one side. just avoided by the opposition. Gary Paffett just swerved around him, and then he backs it into the wall as he tries to rejoin. So looks as though Jean Cadea's dominance in the DTM-ISH lockdown series may well be at an end now.
He is human.
Well, he is human, this is true, he's proved the point. What about Edo Mortara? Is he human? Because right now he's looking the man to beat.
Yeah, I mean, Edo, you know, he's a typical Latino. He's very, very quick. When things come together, he can be almost unstoppable, but he does make the odd mistake. So we will see if today is his day.
Robin Frins there goes through, another driver that moved from single-seater racing after winning title after title after title through GT cars and into the DTM. So Mortara, Heyerdahl and then Mattia Drudi is the top three. Nestorovic fourth, Schwarzman fifth, Rockenfeller is into the top six now as the cars head once more up towards the timing line. 10th of a second over Emil Heyerdahl, who again was really impressive in the races that we saw at Zolder. Number two there, Daniel Nestorovic, goes out of Paddock Hill Bend, climbs the hill to Druids, and is that Rockenfeller in the pit lane? It is. Mike Rockenfeller into the pits.
Interesting.
Meantime, up at Druids, 45 in the Euronics colours is Frank Bieler, squabbling busily with number one, Miguel Molina. So Frank Bieler now gets up into 9th place, runs out wide, but you know, bear in mind, Frank was winning his class in a BMW in the European Touring Car Championship at the back end of the 1980s, and he's still as competitive and as enthusiastic as ever, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a surprise to be so passionate about racing in the simulator. I guess it just shows the passion he had for motorsport is still there, and it's nice to see, isn't it? It's good. As you said, Frank was a bit before my time, so I perhaps don't realise how good he was, but he was a British touring car champion, wasn't he?
He was indeed.
DTM.
Yeah, that's right. He won the DTM
already. Not many people have done that.
No, absolutely so. He won the DTM, he came to the BTCC in 1996, won with Audi, but he'd already got this great CV even before that. He was a very, very successful touring car driver, and I want to say he was German Formula 3 champion off the top of my head even before that. Certainly he had a good track record in single-seater racing before he was picked up by BMW as a junior and then by Audi. With whom he had this very, very long and successful association that continues to this day. The name Pirro you associate latterly with Audi, and Goffredo, Goofy Pirro, is currently running in 7th place, having a go at Gary Paffett there in the Fitbit liveried car as they come down the hill. Gary Paffett defends like this, Jamie, should he?
No, it's impressive, isn't it? I mean, he's not actually a racer, so very impressive to be up there in 7th place.
Absolutely so. And there Robin Frins is about to lose out, is he not? Because Frank Bieler comes up to have a go at him. So Frank gets up the inside for 8th place. It's like a rolling start here. You've got two pairs of them almost side by side heading down to Hawthorne. Paffett on the inside, Pirro on the outside. He's going to run out of road, is he? No, just about gets it back in. But that means he's going to be caught by Frank Bieler now going up towards Westfield. Isn't it? This is how it should be.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, brilliant racing. Quite fair as well, which is nice to see.
Oh dear, except Gary Paffett gets it all wrong coming out of Sheen Curve, and he takes Robin Frins with him for good company. So, two start names get themselves in strife coming out of Sheen, and poor old Gary Paffett there is the one that comes off decidedly worse, though. He'll get going again. Here's the replay from the high camera. What did he do? Just seemed to hook a wheel onto the dirt. So poor old Robin Frins had nowhere to go, did he?
That was very unfortunate to get hit by the car when it rebounded off the barriers back across the circuit.
And there it is in slow motion. So yeah, just a tiny little error. Gary was one of the drivers racing in a Formula 3 car on a sim last night for the new British Racing Drivers Club Esports Championship. And the spin, Robin Frins is able to get going again, but that puts him into 9th place now. This is how Robin saw it. So as he turned his way up towards Sheen Curve, Gary Paffett ahead starts to have his moment. Which way does Robin go? Well, we know from the outside view that he has to go left, but let's see how much of a view he got. Very little, really. There is Gary. Suddenly bounces across the road. Boom. how close to a real-world accident from the driver's point of view was that, Jamie? I mean, is it that? Are you able to see that much in the car? Is it as big a shock on a sim as it is in real-world racing?
I think in terms of what you can see, it's the same. Yeah, the way the car rebounded off the wall wouldn't normally ping back as quick as that, I don't think. Yeah. So I think in reality he would have been able to avoid that. But otherwise, yeah, very realistic.
What's also realistic is the way that Eduardo Mortara is going. He's half a second to the good over Emil Heyerdahl. You can see how much real estate they use coming out of Graham Hill Bend, so the track limits officials look the other way during sim racing, clearly simulated track limits and all that. And as they accelerate onto the Grand Prix loop, what can Heyerdahl do about Edmund Mortara? He was impressive, although the results perhaps didn't really illustrate that. At Zolder was Emil Heyerdahl. He went well, certainly in the first qualifying session, got himself onto the front row. In terms of race results, well, again, he flattered to deceive. He was unlucky late race in both. So here, he's trying to keep out of trouble. Mathieu Drudi, GT star, runs third at the moment, but Edo Mortara and driving a good solid race to preserve this lead.
Yeah, I'm impressed to see Drudi up there in third place. That's a good performance. He wasn't with us at Zolder, from my memory.
No, I think you're right. He was going to be, but then didn't do those races. You're quite right. So there he is in third place, and then the best of the sim regulars is Daniel Nestorovic running in fourth. We've got some retirements, perhaps inevitably, and one is Fabio Scherer, who I don't think actually got into the race. The other is Christophe Herbigno, and Nicola Palacci, I'm afraid, has also retired. Mike Rockenfeller we saw make a pit stop. He is back out again, and a long way down also Raffaele Marciello. In ground. No, you're right. It was a short-lived race for poor old Nicola Palacci, but that's the beauty of a double header. We can have another go later on. Right, Junqueira, he's on the prowl, isn't he? He's quite a long way back from the leader, like 25 seconds back after his spin. But Junqueira is pushing forward once more.
Yeah, he's just made a move into Paddock Hill Bend, nice and light to the curb. But yeah, he's obviously still got the pace, which is good, because he's going to provide us with some entertainment as he works his way back through the field.
Very definitely. Robin Rogalski in number 77 in the Central Eastern Europe team car. He's another man to watch. There it is, the reigning Audi R8 LMS Cup champion, and Robin Rogalski did a very good job in that last season. It's a shame we're not being able to see him capitalise on it in real-world racing thus far in 2020, but he went well on the sim at Zolder, got himself fourth in the second race. You're riding back on board here with Junqueira. He's on the tail of Robin Fritz, coming down towards Clearways, then under the Advan Bridge. To the outside line goes Junqueira. On the inside line is Robin Fritz. Remember, they've tangled once in this race. They might tangle again here. Junqueira tries the inside, tries the outside. Can he go the long way round at Paddock Hill Bend? The answer is no. He's going to run out of road, and he finds the gravel, drops back a little bit as a consequence. It was worth a try, but
Robin's a hard guy to overtake. He's a very, very shrewd racer, Robin Fritz.
Yeah, welcome to the men's room, Danny Junqueira. And while he's not finding a way past, so he's got Rogalski and then Freienzehner up behind him. Now Junqueira tries the outside line at Surtees, but that's going to be to no avail. They've got running with them, have they not, Raffaele Marciello, by the look of it, who is a lap down, but out of sequence. So the black and yellow car, the third of these four, is Marciello, but he's shown as a lap down, so he's in the battle, but he's not part of it.
That's all.
Yeah, he's on the right pace, he's just on the wrong lap, isn't he?
Didn't see how that happened. Was he the car that was rolling after the first corner, maybe?
Possibly, and he's having another moment. He gets into the back of Fritz, and around they both go. And Robin Fritz clipped. Who was that? Freienzehner, possibly, as he came back onto the road. So Robin Fritz's race is getting worse and worse and worse. That was just a little tag from Raffaele Marciello that kicked it all off. So we were ruminating about a possible crash fest. It might be brewing up late race this time. Let's have a look. So they get through Sheen Curve, okay, down towards Sterling's. Marciello gets sideways, and then into the back of Robin Fritz. Jamie, there wasn't much Robin could do about that.
Marciello caused that. He sort of spun and hit Paffett, I think it was. Was it Paffett the lead? Oh, sorry, Frins.
Yeah.
Frins, yeah. He tagged the back of Frins and sort of took them both out. So Frins won't be too impressed with that.
And there, as Frins came across the road, he clipped Marcel Freienzener. So that's another driver in trouble as a consequence.
Yeah, it was definitely Marciello's fault.
Right, yes. A case to answer, I think, is the euphemism. Meantime, up front, we've got just under 6 minutes to go, and getting away with this all the time is Eduardo Mortara. He's no further ahead of Emil Heyerdahl, is he? It's still a modest gap, but he's doing a really good job hanging on to position, driving smoothly, error-free as far as we can see.
Yeah, but quite tough when you've got somebody only half a second behind you. Certainly under pressure. So I think this could get interesting.
Yes, definitely so, as the cars then head onto the Grand Prix loop once again. So there is Mortara, Heyerdahl behind him. The gap actually is down at that last split from half a second to 0.4 of a second. So Emil Heyerdahl has certainly not given up. The clock ticks on down. You can see it just nudging towards the last 5 minutes of the 20. We're looking at about 15 laps for the race, and way out wide there gets for Junqueira, who's got himself back with Robin Fritz once again. They've tangled once, they've had independent tangles, and they're not done yet then. So this is for 9th and 10th places. Fritz back ahead, Junqueira leans on him, fires him onto the grass, through the gravel, through he goes, and then Fritz gets walloped again. Was that by Marciello for the second time? In that car, hasn't he? Everybody is aiming for him. Let's have another look at this. Junqueira comes out of Graham Hill Bend. He's got the pace, gets up the inside going into Surtees, shovels Fritz onto the grass and out of the way. Robin goes through the gravel, and then boom, out of nowhere, I think that was Marciello again, gives him another hit, and Robin ends up in the barrier.
That looked like it was intentional from Marciello. He sort of turned right on the exit. What's he got against Robin Fritz? That's the second time in this race.
Such a nice bloke, isn't he? I think Robin might be heading towards quitting his losses, as Mathieu Drudy has had a spin going onto the Grand Prix loop. Now, Jamie was saying earlier how well he was doing, and he was past tense, but he's had a spin. So now Daniel Nestorovic goes third. It's your fault, Jamie. It's all your fault.
Now I'm a commentator. I've got to be careful about what I say. The legendary curse.
Absolutely. Let's try and piece it all together. Here's the replay. This is Surtees then onto the Grand Prix loop, and Mathieu just goes too deep into the corner, I think. Puts a wheel on the grass, and round it goes.
Very patriotic colour scheme.
Yes, that's right, the Italian driver, another graduate of single-seater racing. Meantime, we've got Yellow versus Daniel Junqueira on track. The lapped Raffaelli. He's now 2 laps down, by the way.
He's still looking for Robin.
Yeah, he is. I think you're right. Yes. He's proving that when he goes, he's got the right pace. Trouble is, he's way, way back. And I think Daniel Junqueira is now dropping out of the race, isn't he? He's come to a halt and may well think, do you know what? I'll reset. Yes, he pulls out of the race and will reset, ready for race 2. 2.5 minutes away, in a sense, because we've got that to run out of this race, plus the set qualifying session to determine the grid. We've got a few back markers here, have we not, looming up the road ahead of the race leaders. Traffic on a sim, Jamie, is that as realistic as it is in the real world?
Well, I haven't got much experience of actually racing in simulators. I have done quite a lot of sim testing work over the years.
Right.
But in terms of following other cars, I haven't done it myself, but from what we saw in the Zolder race, they were able to follow in these cars very closely. So I think the model here doesn't give you a disadvantage downforce-wise when you follow other cars. So I think it's a bit more like Formula 4 type racing where you're less reliant on aerodynamics and you can follow closely. So we can see that, can't we, with Heyerdahl sitting very close behind Edo for the whole race. So I think that's good in terms of the spectacle. And he's, like you say, he's within half a second, so that's keeping, I'm sure, Edo sweating in whichever room he's sitting in, driving his sim.
When you talk to the guys about sim racing, how seriously do they take it in terms of what they wear? Do one or two go overboard completely and put the racing boots on and sit in their overalls or their team clothing, or is it really laid back?
Well, I know, for example, in Formula 1 simulators, we always wore like training clothes, like, you know, climber cool thin t-shirts that are breathable, because you do sweat because there's no airflow, so you're very static and you get a bit sweaty. So it's normally like t-shirt and shorts. In a proper sim, you do need race boots and gloves. But depends how serious the rigs are the guys have got at home. If the steering's not heavy, you don't really need the gloves. But certainly wearing a race suit, you just sweat like crazy. So I doubt any of them will be wearing race suits.
Now, looking at the clock, they're going to squeeze one more lap out of this, are they not? Edo Mortara leads. Emil Heyerdahl is in second place. Heyerdahl has thrown everything at this. The gap has come down by a gnat's crotchet, lap after lap after lap. But is he going to get close enough to have a go? One more lap to run then as they break the beam up towards Paddock Hill Bend, and there is a back marker up the road. Mortara still leads. He's virtually dominated this race in terms of being the only driver really to be up front since the race got underway, but never has he shaken off Heyerdahl. And now this back marker that they've got to contend with might just trip him up. Let's see, if he commits the wrong way at the wrong time, it could all change.
Sat there the whole race, hasn't he? So now's the time to make the move.
Back marker gets out of the way, through goes Mortara, down to Hawthorns then. This is where the speed builds, the road plunges downhill. We're on the last lap, as you see from the graphic. That's Emil Heyerdahl behind. Started in single-seaters, won the Formula S TCC Nordic category in 2018, went to Carrera Cup Scandinavia last year, and was impressive at Zolder in the DTM-ISH lockdown series races we had there, the Precision Sim Engineering back series, keeping us entertained in style. And with the gap at 0.3 of a second on this last lap, Mortara leads the way, but Heyerdahl is closing. Way through, not there, he's not. He's got the inside line coming out of Clark Curve, and they touch. Mortara spins, they both end up in the pit lane. Heyerdahl's facing the wrong way. That's going to give Daniel Nestorovic a chance to do it, unless Mortara can break the timing beam in the pit lane. So Daniel Nestorovic is going to win on the track. Edo Mortara is going to take second in the pits. Comes, well, I think so. He broke the beam. Whether he was speeding in the pit lane, it's up to the officials to have a look at. But out of nowhere, Daniel Nestorovic takes the race win. As weird finishes to races go, that's got to be up there, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Edo was just defending and he did everything right, and he parked the car on the apex of the last corner, but Heyerdahl got underneath him, so he was on the inside with more momentum, and they both ended up crashing into the pit lane. Incredible.
So there is Mortara breaking the beam. That was ahead of Xavier Schwartzman, I think I'm right in saying. No, in fact, it was Nestorovic who was with him at the time, and Nestorovic was deemed to have been ahead by 19 thousandths of a second. So it was a very, very close run thing for Nestorovic. Looking at that, Mortara might say, no, I was ahead, but let's have another look. Here's a replay once more. So to the inside line goes Heyerdahl. They touch. Wipes out the tyres. Now, have a look at the timing line in the pits.
I think Edo was in front.
I think you might be right. It was a very close. The timing screen still says 19 thousandths being the margin, but it might be that he's been put behind Nestorovic for speeding in the pit lane.
I can see the temptation of why you would speed in the pit lane.
Getting another onboard view of it, Emil Heyerdahl went for the gap, but you wouldn't have tried that in a real race, would you?
Yeah, you definitely would. Yeah.
Oh, would you? Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. Well, I think
Can't have a high water.
it's not part of a championship, is it? So I think it's like everyone just wants the win, and that's why I thought something was going to happen, because he was so close for the whole race. I thought he would throw the kitchen sink at it, and he did.
Now, Mortara, I think, has been given a penalty because the results now got him, as you can see, down in 9th place behind Otto Rensing. So Daniel Nestorovic takes the win. Emil Heyerdahl takes 2nd, despite being, you could argue, the cause of the incident. Xavier Schwartzman takes 3rd ahead of Mathieu Drudy. Frank Bieler 5th ahead of Goofy Pirro. Robin Rogalski 7th from Otto Rensing. And poor Edo Mortara, who led every bit of it, apart from the last corner and the last straight, ends up 9th after a big spin and an accident avoided in the pit lane, with Marcel Freienzener in 10th. Jamie, there's no justice, really, is there?
No, like I said, there's normally some action where Edo Mortara is, and he's lived up to that.
You're not wrong. Indeed. Mike Rockefeller 11th from Miguel Molina. Martin Elsner 13th from Robin Frins, Gary Paffett, who were a lap down. And we lost Danny Junqueira, Lucas Auer, Raffaele Macciello, Nicola Halacci. Christophe Herbigno was also an early casualty of the race. And Ishira, I don't think actually started. He didn't do a lap of the 15, so I think he was the one non-starter that we had there. Right, that's race 1 done. Time to catch your breath. We've got a second qualifying session coming up shortly, and that gives the drivers a chance to have another go to get a good grid position, replay of the start. What we can do, though, is have a word with our race winner, because Daniel Nestorovic is commentary room. Daniel, well done, a race win. I bet you're as surprised about that as we are, aren't you?
Yep, correct.
Could you see what was going on ahead of you, or did it suddenly appear on your display that you've won the race?
Yeah, if we're talking about last lap, I'm very surprised. Yeah, I was watching the relatives, and I thought, like, why is he entering the pit? But then I just thought, I'm just gonna continue.
It was very close, the way that you crossed the line, and Eduardo Mortara, who had to sit in the pit lane, but you were just fractionally ahead, so keeping out of trouble. How easy a race was that? You were a little bit behind that top 2, but I guess the main thing was you were keeping out of trouble.
Yeah, I think I started P9, and you know, in these challenge races, you know, there's gonna be a lot of rubbing and bumping. So yeah, I took a distance, but I didn't expect it to be that crazy in the start. So yeah, I was lucky, simply lucky.
What about the second race now? You've got another qualifying session to have a go. So with a bit of greater experience of this car, on this game, and on this circuit, can you make it 2 out of 2?
Nope, I can't. Actually, I do a lot in this car, so I'm quite familiar with it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Best of luck for the second race, but well done. A good win then for Daniel Nestorovic in race 1 here at Brands Hatch. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, a very good driver, getting some of the highlights of that first race for Daniel Junqueira. The incident he had bouncing off the barrier coming out of Sterling's and then reversing into the barrier as he tried to get going once again. Daniel Nestorovic then the race winner. Emil Heyerdahl 2nd. It was quite fun to talk to Emil because he had, of course, a very frantic last couple of corners and really triggered the incident. Eduardo Mortara, I suspect, will also have quite a lot to say. Most of it pretty terse.
There was lots of action.
Were we?
That was good stuff. Fortunately, I'm experiencing a little bit of a delay on my pictures compared to yours, David, so it's tricky for me to keep up to speed.
Well, what we'll do is have a quick break on our stream. We'll be back time with the second race here from Brands Hatch, our 4th race within the Precision Sim Engineering DTM-ISH lockdown series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few moments with Q2 and race 2 for you. with Jamie Green and David X. at Brands Hatch, qualifying is underway for the second race within our Precision Sim Engineering DTM-ISH lockdown series. We have had already one very lively race, which ended oh so close to being a pit lane accident, because at the last corner, the top two tangled. We had Emil Heyerdahl trying to find a way past Eduardo Mortara. They touched, they ended up in the pit lane. Eduardo Mortara drove down the pit lane to, we thought, take second. He ended up being classified ninth because of speeding in the pit lane, and Emil Heyerdahl took second place. The cars, though, are back on track. They've got a quick warm-up before qualifying gets underway. David Addison for race one. In the end, Daniel Nesterovic, who comes through to take the race win. He was as surprised as anybody that he was victorious earlier on in the day. In the first race, he'd been keeping out of trouble, running in third place for the most part, and then all of a sudden found himself as the race winner. He was only 19 thousandths ahead according to the timing when he went over the line, but then this penalty was given to Edu Mortara and things didn't half change. So right now in this warm-up session, Emil Heyerdahl is the man offering the target time of a 1 minute 27.5. Everybody in this DTM-ISH lockdown series runs the same car. It's the Cadillac CTS-V within the iRacing platform. Interesting, that's for sure. And it's an interesting mix of regular DTM drivers, one or two from other championships. In the case of Frank Bieler, number 45, of course, the champion from years past of the DTM and other successes, such as being a multiple Le Mans winner as well, don't forget. But you've got the likes of Daniel Nesterovic or Christophe Herbigno from sim racing, add them all together, and it comes out to be a very interesting mix of driving indeed. Robin Rogalski, the reigning Audi R8 LMS Cup champion, one-make race star. He proved to be a man to watch, 3 years ago now, in the Central European Renault Clio series. And Robin Rogalski went well at Zolder. We've had two races there, and it's a double-header here at Brands Hatch. Emil Heyerdahl, not perhaps the most popular man right now after the incidents at the end of race one, but let's see what he can generate out of this second qualifying session, the second race. The time's yet to really come through. It's a 10-minute session, but as soon as we get a proper grid forming, it will be fascinating to see whether Emil Heyerdahl's going to be up near the front of it, because it was Mortara and Heyerdahl on the front row for race one. Great noise these Chevrolet cars, these Cadillacs make, as Heyerdahl runs wide out of Hawthorne. Now, see where he ends up at the end of this lap in the times. Right now, Robin Rogalski has done a 1:43.4. Not everybody has ventured out yet to have a go, but we're getting there. Robin Fritz had innumerable incidents in the opener. Wanting to try and keep out of trouble if he can in this second race. It's had been done, you could argue. But the driver goes by. And Robin Fritz then rides the curb, comes now through the fast right of Westfield, drops down through Dingledale, climbs the other side out of Sheen Curve, and then it's going to be the left-hander at Stirling's. It was this part of the circuit where he had one incident earlier on and got tangled up with Gary Paffett. He comes out of the corner now, makes the run down towards Clearways. Christophe Herbigno is now the fastest, but he's about really the only driver that's done a proper lap time, 1:37.779. But Robin Fritz looks like he's going to be able to go quicker. Well, Raffaele Marciello is now given a faster time in the 23s, and Robin Fritz isn't going to get there. A 24.670. Robin Fritz then goes through, and that puts in fifth fastest provisionally. So Raffaele Marciello currently the fastest. Eduardo Mortara is second fastest. Over the timing line there goes Frank Bieler, number 45. Robin Rogalski currently fourth quickest, and that's Emil Heyerdahl, runner-up in the first race, where is he currently yet to do a proper lap time. So Heyerdahl is a man on a mission, that's for sure. The left-hander of Stirling's now, making the run down towards Clearways. Heyerdahl goes through, goes third fastest then, 1:23.667 on that lap, so he's 2/10 back. Number 18, heading up towards the timing line, is the next one to look for. This is Lee Edgell, the British driver. Now, he didn't do the first race, so he's one that we've gained. That is Edo Mortara, who you could argue rather does deserve a victory before the end of the night, and Edo Mortara second at the moment. 3 of a second back on the pole mount, which is Raffaele Marciello. So Raffaele, who normally excels in Mercedes GT3 cars, and will be racing tomorrow in the sim round from the Nürburgring, part of the SRO GT eSports series. There's 101, that's Emil Heyerdahl, who is third, so it's Marciello, Mortara, Heyerdahl, Biela, Rogalski, Drudy for the top 6. Xavier Schwartzman 9th, and he improved last time. Mike Rockenfeller 10th. He made a pit stop in the first race. This is Frank Biela you're riding with, as he comes now down through Clark Curve, heading up towards the timing line. And Raffaele Marciello on pole position for the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. The DTM has been here to race in both configurations, of course, initially on the Indy circuit, then when it returned after a few years away, it went on to the Grand Prix loop. So Frank Biela goes by. Riding with him as he comes out of Graham Hill Bend. Let's just ride with Frank Biela then as he drops down now into Hawthorns. Out of Sheen Curve, up now towards the left at Stirling's. And this is the right-hander of Clearways into Clark Curve then as he comes up towards the end of the lap. So Frank Biela, currently 4th, which is a good effort, comes by up towards the timing line. And what does that do? It puts him still 4th on the grid, is way wide there, coming out of the left-hander of Graham Hill Bend. That's the race 1 winner, Daniel Nestorovic. So he goes on to the Grand Prix loop, and he knows this car well, as he was telling us after the first race. So Nestorovic currently 8th. What can he do to improve from there? Again, no traffic to worry about in the qualifying laps they do in sim racing. So Daniel Nestorovic goes by. This is Westfield. Road drops downhill. Comes out of Stirling's then. Onto the power now. Underneath the Advan Bridge, he will come up towards the completion of the lap. This is Clark Curve. And then the run up towards the timing line once more. It's the pit lane that beckons rather than completing the lap. So he bails. There is number 8 going by. That Otto Rensing, Formula Ford, Formula 3 driver of the 1980s. And Otto Rensing, much underrated, very rapid peddler in his time he was. Another man to watch in this is going to be double DTM champion Gary Paffett, but he's only 15th at the moment. Daniel Juncadella was the man that won both races at Zolder, was in the wars in the first race. And just looking at the timing screen, I don't think he's ventured back out to do race 2, and nor has Lucas Auer, the man behind this series. Rosberg team engineer Nicola Palacci is back on track, and he is currently 17th. Qualifying session almost at an end, into the last minute of it now. Number 10 is Xavier Schwartzman, another of the sim racing stars, and he currently is 9th on the grid. Number 18 into Druids, that is Lee Edgell, another sim specialist, and with the flag imminent, it's going to be Mortara on pole position once more. He's on a 1:23.356, so seemingly 2 from 2 in terms of pole positions for him here. So qualifying at an end, Eduardo Mortara then takes pole position from Raffaele Marciello and Emil Heyerdahl. Frank Bieler 4th from Rogalski, Drudy, Herbigno, Nestorovic, Schwartzman and Rockenfeller rounding out the top 10. So the drivers then now will reset and get ready to go once more. And then we'll get the grid formed up and we will be good to go. So the servers are now being reset, everybody making their way there onto the grid as everybody resets, so a car will suddenly appear. And as soon as we've got the drivers ready to go, we will be in business for another 15 laps it's going to work out to be. There you see the car of Emil Heyerdahl suddenly appear, the green and orange livery, so everybody present and correct. And any moment we will get race 2 underway then. The grid is formed, the drivers will look towards the lights and the green flag drops now as the red lights go out. Everyone blasts away and it's a good start made this time by Mortara on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend. It's Raffaele Marciello that slots it in 2nd place. Emil Heyerdahl 3rd. Frank Bieler runs out wide 4th there in the black and yellow Euronics livery car, but he slots in behind Rogalski and all up the grass on the inside there goes Christophe Herbigno. He bounces off the barrier, runs out wide. Does he survive? Can he get going again? I'm not convinced he can. Herbigno, I fear, may well be out of the race with the damage, but we'll check in a moment. So there's the leader. It is Eduardo Mortara. They come through Surtees then. On the outside line is number 10, Xavier Schwartzman in the orange car, gets run up the curb and then slots in behind as they come now down to Hawthorne for the first time. More contact, Schwartzman comes off worse, he gets roughed up there by number 14, Robin Frintz. Frintz goes through, and to the inside line, Schwartzman tries to fight back, but he loses another place. Miguel Molina goes by this time as well. And I think also Goffredo, or Goofy as he likes to be known, Pirro gets by as well. Yes, he does. There is the Go Pirro car. And a big, big slide. Schwartzman gets it all tail happy coming out of Sheen Curve, runs it up the grass on the outside line, survives the moment. And at the end of the lap, it's not quite the carnage that we saw on the opening lap at Zolder, but it's been spectacular nonetheless. Eduardo Mortara is going to lead them across the line. Marciello is 2nd, 3rd is Heyerdahl, then it's Rogalski 4th, runs in 6th place. Drudy is 7th, Rockenfeller is 8th, Pirro is 9th, and Miguel Molina is in 10th position. And what about Christophe Herbigno? He's a retirement by the look of it. He bounced off the barrier as we saw, but he is into the pit lane. We have gained for this race Francisco Rodriguez Gabriel, and although he didn't do the first, he's 18th in the order in race 2 of the night here on the virtual Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Now riding with Raffaele Marciello. Busy sim weekend for him because he's got the SRO GT Esports race from the Nürburgring tomorrow. Right now though, he's focused on the back of Mortara, so the Cup driver Emil Heyerdahl in 3rd place as they come here down through Westfield. As they do so, you've got there the rest of the field all filing through, including the likes of Robin Frintz, 12th, Otto Rensing, 13th, Martin Elsner, who is another of the Rosberg engineers. He is in 14th place. Gary Paffett's a long way back at the moment as well. And looking back here, this is the view as they come through Clark Curve up towards the timing line once again. Looking back from Mortara's car. He's doing what he did in race 1, leading from the front, except it all went wrong at the last corner in the first race. Let's see what happens here. Through they turn once again. And now the run up the hill towards the right-hander of Druid. Through goes 101, Emil Heyerdahl then. He's third at the moment, just getting away ever so slightly from Robin Rogalski. Frank Biela is in 5th place, but whisper it, it's almost calm this compared to what we've seen in other DTM-ish lockdown series races. The series backed by Precision Sim Engineering, and we lost another one. Miguel Molina goes for the pit lane, so that's another big name in strife, and a spin there. I think that was Molina, yes, coming out of Graham Hill Bend. So Miguel Molina in trouble. Let's try and piece it all together. Racer turned Ferrari GT driver, coming through Druids with the man behind him at that point being Xavier Schwartzman. So this a fight at the bottom end of the top 10 at the time. Just up ahead was Goffredo Goofy Pirro, who ran wide, and Mortara wide as well, bounced across the road, headbutts the guardrail, and heads for the pit lane. On board with Mortara and Raffaele Marciello. Now they are shown as being second and third. Ignore that for the moment because the timing system will put just briefly Molina ahead of them as he was in the pit lane, so therefore had done a lap. So Marciello you're on board with, Mortara is the man ahead, and they head under the pedestrian bridge up towards Druids now. We're on lap 5. Half a second was the margin last time, but Marciello is not only on the attack, he's also trying to fend off there in 3rd place Emil Heyerdahl as they come out of Graham Hill Bend once more. Robin Rogalski still doing great things in 4th place, but he's a bit busy defending now from Frank Biela. Heyerdahl, I thought for a moment was going to commit to the inside line there. Still second, Emil Heyerdahl there in 3rd spot. And Robin Rogalski wants to go with them, but he's a bit busy having to defend right now from Biela and Daniel Nestorovic, who is there rounding out the top 6. Has he got through this time? No, he's not, but out wide goes Rogalski. Robin Rogalski takes the dirt, and there's contact as there Rogalski and Biela get themselves together. Biela gets hit by Nestorovic as well. Once more by the traffic as he tries to rejoin. So Frank Biela gets in everybody's way, and this is where it all started really, on the run down towards Hawthorne. So you have one incident and it just triggers another. So Rogalski ahead, a little bit crossed up, slides out wide. Frank Biela goes for the inside line. He's just about level. Rogalski turns across and there's contact. More contact as Nestorovic hits Biela. Biela rejoins and bang, that gets him involved with Mike Rockenfeller, another DTM champion. So some of the big names all in trouble there as they go by. Right now, Robin Rogalski has got Matteo Drudi up behind him. Rogalski, Drudi, 5th, 6th, the battle. Daniel Nestorovic is ahead of them, but it's Mortara, Marciello, and then Emil Heyerdahl, the top 3, as ever it was. Matteo Drudi in 6th place, turning his way then through the fast right-hander, straightens the car up, focused on the slightly tail-happy Rogalski car ahead of him, the yellow and white colours of Robin Rogalski. But Drudi still 6th, keeping Xavier Schwartzman at bay as they head now into the left at Stirling's. Clock ticks on down, so we've got just 13 minutes or so still to run here. Over the timing line then goes Matteo Drudi, still running in 6th place. And is he going to be able now to make a move against the car ahead out of Robin Rogalski? Meantime, for the race lead, Edo Mortara, Raffaele Marciello, and then in 3rd place, Emil Heyerdahl. They're getting themselves together, and the gap is what now covering the top three. Just 1 second covers the leading 3 cars. So through they turn. Number 1 there, Raffaele Marciello, trying to shake off the challenge of Heyerdahl. And as they come up towards Sheen Curve, I think Marciello probably is nearer to the leader than Heyerdahl is to him. So can Raffaele, Lello, Marciello concentrate his efforts now on getting the race lead? Let's see. So heading towards the Advan Bridge, that takes you towards Clearways. Now the cars turn right up towards the completion of the lap. Pit lane entrance on the right hand side. Now you're looking at the cars as they come up towards the timing line. That traditional high shot follows them up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Turn right, and it's Mortara, Marciello and Heyerdahl, the top 3 as they drop down here. This is of course one of the stars of real world DTM has been watching this, and a great battle, Jamie, raging on up front now. Oh, apologies, Jamie's microphone is giving us some grief. We'll try and do something about that in a moment and reunite Jamie with the outside world. Apologies. Bear in mind that not only is this all sim racing, but we're all in remote locations, whether it's directing or talking or driving on a sim. So we'll have another go at getting Jamie back with us. Apologies. Right now, though, again, Mortara and Marciello together. Emil Heyerdahl in 3rd spot. As way up the curb goes Marciello. So as they come up towards Stirling's, the gap between the top 2, 4/10ths of a second, which is roughly the margin that Mortara was able to maintain over Emil Heyerdahl in the first race. But right now it's 9/10ths covering, now 8/10ths covering the top 3 as they head up over the timing line once again. So that now puts 7 laps in the book. We're going for 15. That's the expected distance. Starting lap 8, all of them running a little bit wide though, coming out of Paddock Hill Bend this time. On board with the Raffaele Marciello, turns on to Grand Prix loop. Right, let's see whether technology in Leicestershire is any better so that Jamie Green can offer a thought or two on this. Fingers crossed.
Got my fingers and my toes crossed.
And I can hear you perfectly, so welcome. What Jamie is not telling you is that he's just had dinner, really. That's why he missed the start of race 2. Right, so we've been enjoying a great battle.
I wish.
You wish. I think your pictures might be slightly behind mine, but let's piece all this together. Right now, the focus, I think, is Raffaele Marciello, Jamie, because he's trying to attack for the lead, he's trying to defend for 2nd place, and he's not actually losing that much time against the leader, is he?
No, from what I can see as they go under the Yokohama Bridge into the last corner on my screen, yeah, they're very close together, and Marciello took a few people out in the last race, so I'm hoping keep it clean in this one, and I'm sure Edo's hoping to go a few hundred metres further in the lead than he did in race 1 because he was so close last time.
He was desperately unlucky, wasn't he? But yeah, Marciello certainly took against Robin Frins. They had a number of incidents, and I reckon he's closer coming now into Graham Hill Bend than he was a couple of corners back, but he runs wide out of Graham Hill Bend up onto the grasscrete on the outside. But that runoff at Graham Hill Bend is really part of the racing line, it seems, at Brands Hatch, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just about to say that's not a problem. That is the quickest line. So it's like that in reality in a DTM car, although it's maybe a bit more bumpy in reality. Yeah, certainly opening up that exit does enable you to carry more speed through the corner.
So the Grand Prix track, which is always a part of British motorsport, British motor racing that drivers really enjoy. It's a good old school circuit. It might not be that easy to overtake around, it might be a bit narrow, but the commitment a driver puts in is always rewarded, isn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, and I'm part of one of the chat groups for this series with all the drivers, and when it was announced, Nicola, who runs this, decided to keep the track as a as a surprise, because last time guys were practicing for like a week in advance of older. So I think drivers that have got kids at home wanted it to be equalised a bit. So when Brands was announced as the venue, all the drivers and not just the British ones were really positive about that. And yeah, Gary Paffett said, at least I don't have to travel far for that one.
That's true. You'll be home early, ready for dinner. Absolutely. Now, Marciello has made a bit of a mons of that last lap, hasn't he? Because he's lost ground against Mortara and he's almost in the clutches of Heyerdahl. Now, this battle is 14 Robin Frintz ahead of Frank Bieler. Frank had an earlier incident, as we saw, and despite being hit by at least 2 cars, is not showing any real signs of damage. He's on the grass with 2 wheels, the Euronics colour scheme that used to adorn Gary Paffett's Mercedes in the DTM. Hits the Grand Prix loop now then, 9th and 10th.
Got a good exit there.
I know we keep saying this, but Frank Bieler's enthusiasm is undimmed, and yeah, a good exit side by side, Jamie.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think Robin will just hang him out to dry through this quick corner. Yeah, there we go, holds on to the position.
So out of Westfield, Robin Frintz back in front. All of this, remember, is for 9th place. The order is Mortara, Marciello, Heyerdahl, Nestorovic, who won race 1, Rogalski 5th, Drudy 6th, Xavier Schwartzman 7th, Goffredo, Goofy, Pirro 8th, 9th and 10th. Here they are. Robin Frintz you're with, Frank Bieler you're looking at. Down now towards Clearways under the Advan Bridge. Now turn right into the last corner on the lap, but everywhere Bieler wants to be, Robin Frintz has already put the car.
Yeah, it's like one old hand against another here, isn't it? Being the younger one, but the way he's positioning the car, you'd think it was the elder driver in front.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there aren't many titles that Robin Frintz hasn't won, or championships he hasn't won races in, at least. So here he is, keeping a real master of touring car racing and indeed sports car racing at bay.
Yeah, it's only DTM actually.
Like Tom.
It's only DTM that Robin hasn't won a race in nothing so far. Yeah. So I'm sure he'd like to get one under his belt here, but don't think that'll be happening today.
No, even Audi GT racing, he was a race winner, wasn't he? And a title winner in Blancpain Sprint. So yeah, as you say, the CV is very, very well adorned. Frank Bieler, who did return to the DTM after his sports car time, but it had moved on rather, and I don't think he and Alan McNish and Emanuele Pirro were all that comfortable, so they moved away from the series. Tom Christensen was the one that stayed on for another couple of seasons. But Frank Bieler, running in 10th place, comes down towards Sterling's then. He's not quite close enough here to make a move. The race has got effectively 4 more minutes and change still to go, but Eduardo Mortara looks as though he's going to right some wrongs here and hang on to a well-deserved race victory. Well, they're in 3rd place. Now, this is Bieler's view. Makes his move to the outside line up towards Paddock Hill Bend. But no, Robin Frintz certainly knows how to defend, doesn't he?
Yeah, I did say that earlier, and but mind you, he's got it lined up for the hairpin on the inside. Bieler, and Frintz brakes too late. He's into the gravel.
Off he goes, he's back on, but Frank Bieler will be chuckling away now because he's put the pressure on, in Frank's world, this young pup, and Robin Frintz has made a mistake. Off he goes. So Frank Bieler gets 9th place. Guile and stealth and all of that. Now, 2 other, dare one call them old stages. Gary Paffett here versus Mike Rockenfeller. DTM champions both, 12th and 13th. Perhaps there's a Masters class here that they're running in the previous champions. Anyway, we're a long way back, aren't they? But Gary Paffett keeping Mike Rockenfeller at bay. Mike got caught up with Frank Bieler early on in the race.
Yeah, and I know that Rocky and Bieler are good mates, so probably have a chat about that one later as Paffett defends down the hill.
Mike gets up the curb, then goes bouncing out wide onto the grass coming out of Hawthorne, and that gets him wrong going into Westfield, so he's going to lose a length or 2, isn't he, against GP. Keep an eye on the clock relative to where the race leader is, but Eduardo Mortara is still doing this great job of hanging on to the advantage. He's about 7/10 over Raffaele Marciello as we look at the exit of Sterling's, heading down towards Clearways. Under the bridge they go. Cut to the next shot into Clearways there. You're looking at the white, black and purple Fitbit liveried car of Gary Paffett. managed by Mark Blundell. You see the MB Partners graphics across the front of the car. Chasing after him over the timing line is Mike Rockenfeller. 12th and 13th they are as they turn into Paddock Hill Bend now.
Yeah, and at the front, Edo doesn't have a big lead, as you said, only 7 tenths. Similar to race 1.
Way wide out of Graham Hill Bend again goes Gary Paffett, and staying with him is Mike Rockenfeller here. He has a look to the inside line, there's a gap. Rocky goes for it, goes through, good move that, and Gary almost gets into the back of him as they come onto the Grand Prix section of Brands Hatch. But that's the pass made then. Up into 12th spot goes Mike Rockenfeller. And really, with only a lap left after this for them, then that was pretty well timed. In fact, he's getting away, isn't he? Having got past Paffett, he's already put a length or two between him and the British driver.
Yeah, it was good fair fight as well. Nice to see. Respect on both behalves.
Won't last. Won't last. What about this for the race lead? Mortara versus Marciello. They're getting away from Heyerdahl, aren't they? Emil Heyerdahl's dropping back a little bit over these last couple of laps, but going now up onto
pushing
the
hard.
Grand Prix loop.
They're looking a bit ragged, both of them, but yeah, very, very quick, both Mortara and Marciello. And I can't see Marciello settling for second place.
Can't see Mortara giving up a win, though, so it's all gloves off here, isn't it now?
Yeah.
Look at the clock. What have we got? 48 seconds. I reckon they can squeeze one more lap out of this at the end.
An all-Italian affair.
It's true. Very true.
Is our man in P3 going to pick up the pieces again?
Surely Eduardo Mortara can't be so unlucky as to get drilled twice in 2 races at the last corner of the last lap, but you never know, do you?
I think in sim racing it could happen.
Fair point. Fair point. Up to the line and up to the start of the last lap, they will now come. Eduardo Mortara goes through. Raffaele Marciello, it's half a second back. It's going to have to be a real banzai move from there, unless Edo makes a little mistake, goes wide at Paddock. Does that draw Raffaele closer? He breaks a bit later for Druids. He's a little bit nearer, isn't he now? Onto bottom straight then for the last time. The gap half a second at the start, 4 tenths at the first timing point, up to 6 tenths at the second timing point, so it's very elasticated this. But Raffaele Marciello still inching up now onto the back of Edo Mortara's car just up the road ahead. It's Daniel Nestorovic 4th still, but he's not going to catch Heyerdahl, I don't believe. But looks now, Jamie, as though Marciello is just that little bit too far back. Over the curves, out of Sheen curve they come. And now into the left-hander of Sterling's. Back onto the power once more. Up through the gears. We are going to have the checkered flag this time.
I think Edo's got it.
Honours, yeah, they should go this way to Edo Mortara. He's not going to get nailed, is he? He's not going to be hit.
There's a big
Up they
dive.
come towards the checkered flag. Edo Mortara wins race 2 at Brands Hatch. Rights the wrongs of the opener. Eduardo Mortara takes the race win. Raffaele Marciello finishes in second place. Third goes the way of Emil Heyerdahl. For 4th place, it should be Daniel Nestorovic ahead of Robin Rogalski and then Matteo Drudi. Looking back at Goofy Pirro, who's going to have a go at Robin Frins as they come up towards the line. As they break the B,
So close.
just ahead is Pirro. Good move. Very close indeed. 15 is the lapped Nicola Palacci, who deserves a cheer because it's Nicola's efforts that put all this together. He also nearly got in the way at the end there, didn't he? So let's confirm the results. Eduardo Mortara takes honours in race 2 from Raffaele Marciello, the gap being 0.797 of a second. Emil Heyerdahl 3rd from Daniel Nestorovic and Robin Rogalski 5th, Matteo Drudi 6th, Xavier Schwartzman 7th from Frank Bieler, Goofy Pirro and Robin Frins to round out the top 10.
I need to give a shout out to my mechanic actually. I just been tipped off that my mechanic Martin Elsner was taking part. He finished 14th in race 2.
just behind Gary Paffett, or not that far behind Gary Paffett. So a good job for another of the Rosberg engineers. 11th in the race, Otto Rensing. 12th, Mike Rockenfeller. Gary Paffett 13th, and Martin Elsner 14th, ahead of Francisco Rodriguez Gabriel, who joined us for race 2. Nicola Palacci 16th, and then those that didn't get to the end, Lee Edgell, Miguel Molina, and Christophe Herbigno, who we saw in strife right at the very start. So another lively race, but Edo Mortara showing how it should be done, really, Jamie, wasn't he? When he wasn't being driven into, there was no stopping him.
Yeah, I'm pleased to see Edo get that victory because he's shown so much potential in these races so far. As we said, he was quick at Zolder, and then in race 1 obviously led the whole race. Qualified on pole for race 2, so nice to see him get the victory. I think it was well deserved.
I think he would agree with you as well after what happened to him in the first one. So well done, Edoardo Mortara, winning by 0.797 of a second from Raffaele Marciello. The Italian 1-2, and then Emil Heyerdahl taking 3rd position. We'll see if we can get 1 or 2 of the drivers before they disappear. We have the ability to drag them into the commentary room, as it were, and Edoardo Mortara for the highlights in the meantime of the opening race, the second race I should say, the opening lap, with that good start from Mortara. Good getaway also by Frank Bieler around the outside, but then he got hung out to dry a little bit going into Paddock Hill Bend, fell back behind Robin Rogalski, and then Christophe Herbigno in the red car makes his dive up the inside. In fact, it wasn't so much of a dive, was it? I think he got squeezed onto the grass, possibly by Frank Bieler coming across the road. Yes.
Lawn mowing moment.
And that's what did for Herbigno.
Full jump start.
Yeah, Herbigno gets away. So this should prove that Frank Bieler arrived out of nowhere. Let's see. So there is Bieler in the black and multicoloured Euronics car ahead. He comes across the road now, and that puts Herbigno on the grass. Bang into the barrier, bang into the traffic, and bang into the gravel he goes. And there was more mayhem at the top of the hill. Gary Paffett was one of those drivers involved in that as well. Xavier Schwartzman then got run up the grass on the outside of Graham Hill Bend. So it was a very lively opening lap, as you'd come to expect in the DTM-ISH lockdown series. Robin Frins on his toes on that opening lap. Got up the inside of Xavier Schwartzman, turned him sideways, muscled his way through. And Schwartzman was then going to lose even more ground, as there one place on the inside Miguel Molina, but Miguel didn't last very long, I'm afraid, because he, after 3 laps, was out of the race.
Whistle be Edo.
Now let's see whether we can have a word with our Italian or Swiss drivers that have been brought into the chat room. I'm hoping that Raffaele Marciello has joined us. And silence reigned, which either means
ma non li sento.
I'm either right or wrong. Raffaele, is that you?
Yes, it's me.
Excellent, well done.
Yeah,
now,
thank you.
That was a far better second race for you than the first. In the first race, you seemed to get involved in lots of people's incidents.
Yeah, it's difficult in the simulator. It's, also the connection can make a big difference and not, but like really for fun. I had fun, and in the second one I wanted to take it a bit more seriously, and yeah, I had a great fun with Edo, but yeah, it was a pity for qualifying, but it was fun.
And you were nearly there on that last lap. You closed a little bit, and then the gap opened up a little bit, but you were still trying all the way to the end.
Yeah, it's Brenzzacci is quite difficult to overtake, so I tried to put some pressure on Edo, but he did it quite easily to stay in front, so yeah, he deserved it, yeah.
Now, tomorrow, we're going to be talking about you, of course, in the SRO series.
On Sunday.
Yes, for the well, that's right, on Sunday in the GT series, but that's on a different platform. This is iRacing. That's Assetto Corsa. How different is it to go from one sim platform to another?
Yeah, I mean it's different. It's like different games, so you need to adapt. But it's not like the real life where you have only 2 days of testing and that's it. Here you can drive if you want 24 hours per day, so it's a bit different. If like now I want to go to Assetto and do half an hour, do Assetto half an hour, and then I'm okay for Sunday. Tomorrow I have a race in the race room, another game. So I mean, you can switch every day game and do a few laps before, and it's okay.
Well done on second place in race 2 at Brands Hatch. Good luck for Sunday in the Mercedes. We'll see you on Sunday. Raffaele Marciello, thanks very much. Yeah, and let's see whether we can have a word with the race winner, Eduardo Mortara. Edo, well done. That makes up for the dramas of the first race, doesn't it? Oh, microphone muted, I fear.
Yeah.
Let's try again.
I'm here.
There, Edo.
Can you hear me?
Well done. Yeah, we can hear you now, yes. Well done on the second race. That makes up for the problems at the end of the first, I should think, doesn't it?
Sorry, just I couldn't hear you because I got a small problem here. Yes, sorry, say again?
Let's try. Okay. Congratulations on a win in the second race, which makes up for the problems at the end of the first, I should think.
Yeah, I think the end of the first one was very entertaining.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it was. Nobody was expecting that, me included. But yeah, I had great fun, like in both races. It was cool.
I mean, were you expecting in that first race, Emil, to make a move at the last corner? How much on a sim can you see of a driver effectively behind you compared to in the real world?
Yeah, I think that Emil was he had like really good pace like during the race 1, and he did quite a good move actually, like in the last corner of the last lap. I was not really, I mean, I was kind of like expecting it.
Yeah.
But I was not expecting to have like that much understeer in the middle of the last corner, which then caused me like to have a poor exit. Mm-hmm. And then we had a small contact, which was actually pretty funny because they had to go like in the pit lane.
Yes.
and yeah, fortunately I got a penalty because I think otherwise it would have been like very close with Daniel.
Yeah, I think it was about 19 thousandths of a second between the two of you when you crossed the line, but then the penalty dropped you down. Because we're talking sim racing, of course you don't have a mirror to see what's behind you, but do you have a little screen on your sim that shows you the driver behind so you know where he is on the track?
Yeah, sort of. You have well, actually, you have a mirror, the iRacing mirror, so you can you sort of like know where the other ones are, especially when they are behind you. And I've got the chance also to have a triple screen, so I pretty much know where they are. Let's say, like I think that in real life it's even more difficult.
Right. Okay. That second race, dominating from the front, Raffaele pushed you hard, but you always seem to have it under control.
No, not really. Like both races were actually pretty similar. I think qualifying was key, especially in Brands Hatch, because once you are in front in Brands Hatch, it's very difficult to overtake. And then I think that Emil, like in race 1 and Raffaele, like in race 2, probably had a little bit more pace, or kept a little bit better the tires, so they put me under like big pressure, and then it's about not doing any mistake and try to stay in front. But Raffaele was mega quick, and yeah, he was probably the quickest.
Well, you did a great job to hold him off and to take the race win. Edo, well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Eduardo Mortara the winner, Raffaele Marciello second, and it was Emil Heyerdahl in third in our second Precision Sim Engineering DTM-ISH Lockdown Series race of the night. Jamie, good action again, wasn't it?
Yeah, lots of action. The racing's been good, but all the races we've had so far. Unfortunately, I missed about half of race 2, which was a bit painful with technology issues here in Leicestershire. Yeah, I saw the end of the race, and like Edo said, he led both races all of the way, and I think he deserved at least one win.
Yes.
So he was the star in my in my opinion. And yeah, around him there was lots of action, so it was good to watch.
Absolutely right. Well, we'll look forward to the next round of the series. Nicola Palacci, who is not only taking part tonight, but also a Rosberg engineer, the man behind the series, putting a lot of effort into getting drivers to come and take part. Of course, as we go further through lockdown, there is more and more and more sim racing, so it's harder to find a night where lots of drivers can take part. And in certain countries, as the lockdown eases a little bit, that gives other commitments for certain people as well. But thanks to all those that have taken part tonight. I don't think we've got any more drivers to talk to, in which case, thank you for your company. We'll look forward to more of the same next time out. Keep an eye on social media for DTM-ISH lockdown series. But for now, from Jamie Green and David Addison from a virtual Brands Hatch, it's a virtual goodbye.